I'm Davide Quayola. So in the beginning of the process of capturing data from these landscapes, when I started this research, I started both capturing sort of kind of cinema-like quality videos, but also engaging with this machine, which is a high-precision laser scanner, a LiDAR scanner, that I was taking with me. I didn't really know what to do with it. I was just kind of capturing data. And then after a while, I sort of kept this data on a side. I didn't quite know what to do with it. And then I went back to it and I started kind of exploring this data. What is interesting about scanning, that again, it brings back something that is very different from an image. When you capture an image, it's something that is very close to the way you look at things, in a way. It looks very familiar. But what this machine spits out, you should imagine it's a kind of Excel sheet, very, very, very long Excel sheet, like hundreds of millions of rows of just the number, the X, Y, Z coordinates, something kind of very abstract. But with this abstract information, you can reconstruct very interesting experiences in a way. I mean, very interesting environment. I started again exploring these landscapes once again in the digital realm, and a bit like a photographer, then choosing certain areas that then would be rendered out as these final objects. And here I think it's another example where scale is crucial, and I'm going to try and explain it a little bit in the next few slides. But well, what I started really getting fascinated, it was the details. Like the kind of logic, a little bit what you see in the sculptures, this sort of logic embedded there. You see the same into the scanning process. You see the errors of these lasers, perhaps also the impossibility of these machines to capture things properly. Idea there, it was by rendering these images in a less precise way, perhaps they become much more expressive. So I started getting like very into this kind of logic on this microscopic scale of how these dots really line up and these kind of errors. But at the same time, also like the sort of more, I would say, photographic or kind of realistic feel that you have when you see a bigger portion. So I started kind of studying, how you could really have the two combined, and there is no way you could do this with a video because you have very limited amount of pixels. But with printing, you can really engage with images that have a resolution far beyond what you would see on a video. So really started engaging in this process of trying to create ultra high resolution images, enormous renders that you would be able to see printed on a very large format, but also you could get close to this print, as close as you would be reading a book and still see these kind of details. There's been a lot of like tests in figuring out the sort of correct density of the scan, the size that this kind of little geometry should have, and ultimately the size that this object should have when printed on paper. And here I'm going to show you some slides where I can start zooming out from this image that you see a sort of understand a little bit the kind of scale and resolution of these hundreds and hundreds of millions of these geometries, billions probably in some of these scans. And here's some photos of some of these projects kind of shown. So when you look at this object sort of close by, you have these little spheres that are about 1.5 millimeters, probably. But then when you stand out and you have this very large object, then you have a very kind of different experience. So the relationship with scale, again, it's crucial part of my work. And in this case, I'm quite excited into playing with the medium of print, something that can deliver things that simply screen-based cannot. So here are some photos of some recent exhibitions I had in Asia. And again, these objects that, of course, are prints, but for me, they become environments, they become real experience. They're quite interactive, in fact, because you're actually exploring these objects. So I'm going to leave you now with one last bit, which is a video, a short excerpt of a video from a new, well, recent project. Again, this one also a spin-off of this 3D scanning stuff, but also a bit of a homage of this exploration in autonomous vehicles and how they're kind of sensing the world.